A very good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to all our esteemed stakeholders, principals, teachers, school counselors. We are delighted to have you with us today for this important session on identifying talent and goal setting at a young age. In the last 2 days, we had wonderful sessions on career counseling, supported by CBSE for all the teachers, principals, and counselors at school. We have received tremendous response for these sessions. For the 25th session, we had close to 40,000 registrations and 20 more than 25,000 candidates who participated in the session had already taken feedback. It had been a wonderful feedback. For the 26th session, we had more than 30,000 registrations and more than 22,000 participants have shared their feedback, which is again amazing. And for today, we have again close to 30,000 registrations and we are online. And let's start by introducing. First and foremost, we would like to express our heartfelt thanks to CBSE for organizing this invaluable session. Your unwavering commitment to enhancing the educational experience of our students is truly commendable. We would also like to express our gratitude to Secretary Sir for this continuous support and guidance in making this event possible. I would like to introduce Neeti ma'am, Mrs. Neeti Shankar Sharma, Deputy Secretary Media and PR, to please motivate with her words. Ma'am, over to you. Ma'am, you are on mute, ma'am, please.
Good morning, everyone. And as Gaurav has already introduced the session, that today we will be talking about identifying talent and goal setting at a young age. And we would, in the coming 1 to 2 hours, will explore how early identification of students' talents and effective goal setting can profoundly impact their academic and personal development. And as teachers, principals, and school counselors, you all play a very pivotal role in guiding students through this process. Today's session will provide you with practical strategies and tools to identify and cultivate students' talents and help them setting up meaningful goals. By equipping themselves with these skills, you will be better prepared to support your students in realizing their full potential and achieving their dreams. We have the pleasure to have with us Shri Himanshu Gupta, Secretary CBSE. Sir, it would be a pleasure if we can have a few words from you. And we would also welcome our resource person today, Mr. Ajitesh Sharma. Sir, we would really like to, listen from you in the next 1 to 2 hours, how you will go around the session. Sir, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nitiji. Thank you, Gaurav from Media and Entertainment Skill Council. And I would like to thank Ji for taking out time for taking session for all our CBSE teachers and counselors. I would just like to tell this to all our listeners or viewers today that board will be organizing more such sessions on counseling because it is a very, very important topic, and we have realized that we have to give due importance to our counselors and to the training needs of the counselors. And that's why it is very important that all of you, remain connected with us. And I'm very happy to note that this unique session on identifying talent at early age is being taken as one of the topics because we all know that in our country there is a need to promote various streams based upon the talent that is inherent in a child. Sometimes what is happening in our country that people are just taking one or two streams which are considered as popular. But there are so many opportunities now in our country, and we need our children to excel in all those fields. We need to identify such training opportunities, such opportunities that are there. And I think this session will be of very much use to all of you. My best wishes, and we will always be organizing more such sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those motivating words. We are really thankful to you to be spare some time for us and address the participants, motivate them. We'll certainly follow your vision. I mean, this amazing initiative which had been taken under your leadership is going to change the way career counseling, and career awareness is taken at all CBSE schools. I would again like to thank Neeti ma'am for making these sessions possible, for coordinating with us, for carrying out these sessions flawlessly. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the topic as well as the speaker for the day. So today's session focuses on the critical topic of identifying students' talent and setting meaningful goals at young age. By recognizing and nurturing each student's unique abilities early on, we can significantly boost their confidence, motivation, engagement in their studies. And to carry out this wonderful session, we have with us Shri Ajitesh Sharma. He is a mechanical engineer. He's a triple master, MTech in production engineering, PG diploma in advertising from MICA, and an MBA from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. He has had such a wide variety of experience. His spectrum of his abilities is very wide. I would like to just talk about few of the points, such as he had been a scientist at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. After ISRO, then he moved to the corporate side of Bollywood. He ventured into dual entrepreneurial fields of fire safety as well as films. And during the session, he will talk about his own experiences. He will guide you the importance. He'll talk about the importance of this goal setting, identification of talent. So without any further ado, let me hand over the stage to our speaker for the day, Ajitesh Sharma. Ajitesh sir, it is all yours. Please take it.
Yeah, thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Nitiji. Thank you, Himanshuji, for starting the session and your kind words. And you can hear me, Gaurav? Thanks. Yeah. So today's session, our session is on early identification of talent and goal setting. And I have splitted the session exactly in two halves. In first half, we will talk about the talent identification part. And once it is done, we will talk about the goal setting part, because both are equally important. If we don't identify the talent, for whom we will set the goal. And I will share my screen. Please let me know if it is visible, and then we'll take it forward.
Sir, I have a request for you. If you could introduce, give a description about your career, because that is going to motivate the participants. How
Sure.
you traveled across different spectrums in different career paths and different streams. That will really motivate and set the tone.
Yeah, it will come on. One of the slides is the second or the third slide will say that, and I will narrate that. Thank you. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So identifying talent and goal setting at young age. These are my LinkedIn coordinates in somebody want to connect. So there is a famous African proverb which says, "Am memera mayomba." This is a Zambian or Zimbabwe region. This Chichewa language is there, and this proverb is very famous, and it is famous in other parts of the world also. Memera moyamba. What does that mean? This means catch them young. So this is a beautiful African proverb with simply in two words explaining the importance of catching people young. And while catching, we don't literally mean catching, it means to identify their talent. So our whole session is, this is the gist of our whole session, these two beautiful words. And that is the beauty of language. Each language has some unique capabilities, be it Hindi, be it English, be it Urdu, be it this African language. Then in two words, we can summarize the whole concept. The saying emphasizes the importance of child's formative years. How if we train a child, if we identify a child in early years, how it can influence the later years. And the very famous example of this sayings are some of the sports prodigies, like Roger Federer, like Michael Phelps, like Marsh Carson, the chess prodigy, the tennis prodigy, the swimster prodigy. All of these people started playing chess, playing tennis, doing swimming before the age of 10 years. Either their coach or their parents, they were able to identify the talent these people are having, and now they are legends in their own fields. So that is the advantage of if we are able to identify the talent at an early age. All these three people, the top legends, have started before 10 years, at the age of 7 to 8. What we are covering in today's session. So as Gaurav was saying, it's a brief introduction about me as well as session. Then we'll set the context briefly in 2 pages. Then identifying talent and goal setting. So this is a very small presentation of 20 pages because I don't believe in big presentations. I believe in storytelling. As a storyteller myself, I believe in storytelling, not the big presentation. But a part of me is an MBA, and MBAs believe in presentations. So that's why you will have a flavor of both MBA and storytelling. And there are some nice, beautiful quotes which I will not read for you, but you can enjoy while we are browsing through these presentations, because these are some of the sayings which are relevant to the context of the session. One more thing I want to ask, that whether I should use only English or a mix of Hindi or English for the benefit of the audience. Gaurav, can you?
So we have a audience, a wide audience from across the country. So I think English would be a language of choice, so that everybody who's from either non-Hindi speaking states can learn from your session.
Sure. So I will primarily give the session in English, and some of the key concepts I will try to highlight in Hindi as well. Yeah. So this is about me. Being a photographer, I know how to click beautiful pictures. So it's a good picture with some of my team members took it. So I graduated in mechanical engineering from Gwalior. I was born and brought up in Gwalior. And although it looks it not look very humble, or it not look very, what to say more about myself, but I will stop a bit on this page and dwell on it, because it is again a story that how a person from a small city can change career across various streams and make national and international name. And it has some of the lessons which I will come later. As an example, I will take later also. So that's why I will just go a bit into it. So I am a mechanical engineer, and I've done my post-graduation in production engineering and MTech, then MBA from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad, and also a PG diploma course in advertising. My main stint was at Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So I was a scientist there. I started my career as a scientist, and that was a fortunate stint because I got to know a different side of India, South India, because I'm basically a North Indian, but I got to live in South India and exposed to some of the brilliant minds of country. And it was an experience which changed me. I was there for 3.5 years. I was fortunate enough to be a small part of the testing of Chandrayaan 1, one of some of the components of Chandrayaan 1. Now we have done Chandrayaan 3, but during the phase of 2003 to 2007, we were working on Chandrayaan 1. So I'm fortunate to be part of that. Post my MBA, I moved to Mumbai, and there my interest went into Bollywood side. So I was more into a business side of Bollywood. I worked with Reliance, and I dealt in many of the big films. I was on the big business side, looking their distribution side, looking on the international film festival side, and that was my stint in Bollywood. And after in 2008, I decided to come back to Indore, which is my native, and I'm presently based at Indore, and started my ventures in fire and safety and films. I will come to it. That why I started dual ventures. I will come to it. In one of the slides, there is a concept which I will explain through my journey, that why I decided to do dual entrepreneurship in fire safety and films. In films, I was again fortunate enough to have good teams and good circumstances, and developed a good profile. In 15 years, I have shot in more than 25 countries, more than 350 selections and awards our projects had. In more than 55 countries, I was able to travel to many countries. Our film companies keep rolling films. And because of my filmmaking experience, I got identified in international film circuit, and many of the events I was able to judge. I am judge presently also. I am judge, curator, and jury at many film festivals. I like fashion photography too, so I have done a lot of fashion photography stints, portfolio stints, and brand stints. I have learned coaching, NLP, so I'm a internationally certified coach, mentor, and a NLP practitioner. I have made games, so I have made board games, so I'm a board game designer also. I will come to it at that part also. And recently, the my latest stint is I have started a comics publishing house called Cinemix, and we have started making comics. So that's my brief of my journey. And the if you say the contradiction in this journey, because what we are going to cover today in the session is about focus, is about choosing career, and there are few contradictions in this kind of journey when we say that left side of the brain and right side of brain working in parallel. How that happens, we are going to cover that in few slides when we talk about intelligence in the slide. In that concept, we will cover this. So that's about me. Now, before starting the theory part of the session, let me give you two caveats, and this is for your benefit so that the attention is there. Most of the information given in this session is not available anywhere else on the internet, because last 2 days I was working on this session because this is an opportunity. I took this opportunity as something which I can help by the students of this nation. It is a nationwide opportunity, and I don't wanted to waste it. And I wanted to give you something which you can actually use, and our children can be benefited, our students can be benefited. So I wanted to do that, and I invested some 16 hours in last 2 days to make some models, some mind models, and some of the things which you can note and you can practice, and you can and it can be mutually beneficial for a teacher, for a counselor, as well as for the students. So I make sure that I invested my time for the benefit of students. And that's why I request you to please, whoever is attending this session, to go through this session in detail, because this information in bits and pieces, some things are available. Yeah, I have also used some of the psychological models which are well developed, some of the scientific models. Those informations are available. But then there are some models and matrices which I have specifically made for this session, and I'm 200% sure that those will be useful as a teacher for you to use in a case when you need to identify the talent or you need to set a goal for one of your students. So that is something which I would like to highlight. And I want to ask one question here to before I go to the next page. And I will ask very few questions. Maybe this may be the first or the last one. And the question is, whenever we meet someone young, or whenever we meet, whether he or she is a relative or some acquaintance or some student, the first question, knowingly or unknowingly, we ask is, "Beta kya banna chahte ho?" या आप क्या कर रही हैं, क्या बनना चाहते हो, बेटा क्या बनना चाहते हो, what do you want to become in life? So what do you think, what kind of answers you people get when you ask this kind of questions to young people? That is my question. Or can you help in getting the answers?
I'm looking at the chat, and first I would like to really appreciate with a wonderful start, because we are getting a lot of sessions. People have already started enjoying the session, so a lot of good sessions, nice approach, these kind of messages coming in, and the answer, there are a lot of answers. So one is a police officer, somebody wants to go in defense, somebody is going to become a doctor, then again a doctor, surgeon, businessman, engineer, doctor. So these are the answers we are getting. A lot of doctors, and a lot of engineers in the answers.
Interesting. So, as you said, a lot of doctors in the answer, and we'll come to it why. So this is the question which you people just answered, and thanks for that. What do you want to be when you grow up? And there is a beautiful quote by Mark Twain, one of my favorite writers, that find your passion and you will never work a day in your life. So there are two type of responses when we ask this question to anyone young or even grown up. The first set of responses give us answer like an astronaut, a paleontologist, superhero, movie star, athlete, pilot. Even I was surprised. Means earlier I asked um my son, now he's in 12th standard, but when he was in 5th or 6th standard, some of his friends come across our home, and I asked this question to some of them, and even later, and the answer was paleontologist. And the first thing I had to do was to search what is a paleontologist. Though I'm a scientist, but again my knowledge in that field is limited, and so I searched that what is a paleontologist, and I come to know that a paleontologist is somebody who study fossils and specifically dinosaurs. So this was an interesting answer, which set me thinking that why this answer? Astronaut, aerospace scientist, these are some of the answers. Superhero, if in Indian context you ask, you will not often get this answer. But if you there are studies, if you see that superhero is one of the top 15 answer given by American children when this question is asked. Although in Indian context that is not so much valid, and we are trying to change it through our comics. So that is another thing. But since Japanese culture and US culture, superhero is another thing. So one of the top 15 responses was superhero. Then movie star, then athlete and pilot. So if you see, there is a coolness factor attached with these responses. There is a certain kind of coolness factor attached with these responses, though these are not unrealistic responses. And somebody, apart from being a superhero, not others are not unrealistic responses. And definitely a person, if he or she is thinking, can become one, astronaut or paleontologist or movie star. But these are more like a aspirations, or more like a something which has a fad or coolness associated with it, because these are the things talked about in our pop culture. These are the things which are having a very high ratio of what to say, respect or coolness or all those things attached to it, like movie star, athletes. And I would say, though there is no research backing it, but 90% of people thinking like this will not end up becoming one, and 10% do end up becoming one. And then there is a second set of responses in which the doctor is topping the chart. This is more realistic set of responses, and this is something where we come. If somebody is interested in becoming a doctor or a scientist and lawyer or a teacher or an artist or a businessman, and we will cover in detail that why he or she may want to become a businessman or a scientist. We will cover that. So this is a more realistic set of approach, and 90% of people aiming for this kind of responses may end up becoming one. But there is no right or wrong approach. And one thing, on next slide, I'm covering it, that what as a teacher or as a counselor or as a father figure or as a mother figure, you should or you should not do when a child answers this question is not to discourage. Even if the answer is an astronaut or a paleontologist or a superhero, discouragement should not be there. Understanding should be there, that what might be the reason that this answer is coming and what that answer can lead to. We will come to the strategies that how to identify that how to take these answers further. We'll come up with that strategy. But for doing that, there are some. Now we have officially into the first part of our session, identifying talent. And for this, there are two set of techniques: informal techniques and formal techniques. And I saw two of the earlier sessions which happened on 25th and 26th, and wonderful sessions those were. And I know that the formal techniques were covered in yesterday's sessions. And those of you who might have attended the yesterday's session must be knowing that those fall into two categories, qualitative and quantitative. So we will not discuss about formal techniques because those are already covered in the session. But what I would like to tell you is the formal techniques are those assessments, those questionnaires, those surveys, which students have to take or have to be administered by school or counselors. Those are formal techniques. What are the advantages of formal techniques? That is, you should know that why formal techniques are important. they are scientifically backed because they are developed over the years. They have been developed scientifically by psychologists, philosophers, scientists. They're reliable and valid. You can produce those results. You can compare those results apple to apple. Those are reliable and valid. They are administered through a defined way. There is a definite set of way through which you administer formal techniques, and there is a standard interpretation of those results. So if you have an answer sheet from an assessment, you know what that answer sheet means. If some assessment is having a score of 80 out of 100, you know what that 80 means. So that is the advantage of using formal techniques. And as I understand, my understanding is that this session is for teachers who want to become counselor or who want to aid children in counseling. So one of the method is to go for formal techniques, learn formal techniques. Some of the formal techniques are licensed, so you need to take the license, understand those techniques, and then administrator on your students or children. Only disadvantage is that time is in that is that some of them are very costly because those are licensed, mostly licensed. There are some free formal assessments also, but most of them are very costly and have to be licensed. And there are this commercial and financial nitty-gritties which need to be taken care by administration, and who will do that, who will administer, and all those things are there. Otherwise, school counselors, there are many schools who have attached counselors or who have tie up with counselors. All those people use formal techniques, and those are the best way to go about it if can be afforded and if can be administered. No doubt we should go for formal techniques. But then India is a big country, and not everyone can afford, or not everyone can have the leisure of going for this formal techniques. I will give you an example. I live in Indore, and my son, he is in one of the reputed schools of Indore. And a few years back, when he was in year 9, the school given opportunity to go for a formal technique, and they partnered with one of the leading counselor of our city, and they subsidized also to an extent. And we go for that. We went for that assessment. It was a good assessment. We come to know good things about our my son, that what he has to improve, in which direction he can work, and all those things we came to know about him. So it was a very wonderful assessment. But having said that, it was costly. It was on a bit on the expensive side. And I'm not talking, when I say a bit on the expensive side, I'm considering all the schools of India, all different parts of India. And that is one of the thing which is the disadvantage of formal techniques. And maybe there will be certain propriety assessment or techniques which we need to make so that this the cost is reduced and we can apply formal techniques for all the schools. Then there are informal techniques which we will learn in today's session. And if we, as you can see, that formal techniques are mostly, there is a one beautiful man next to formal techniques. He is a consultant. So formal techniques have to be applied by a consultant or counselor or a coach or a mentor. So, but then there are informal techniques which can be administered by a teacher on the left, and or by the parents, which on the right of the screen you can see that parents are there. So informal techniques can be administered by either teacher or parents. But again, these are of two types: solo or collaborative. Solo means you have certain aspirations as a parent, as a teacher, you have certain aspiration or certain pre-biases or certain aspects of your personality which come into play whenever you take a decision. And when you are applying this informal techniques on your students or your wards, then sometimes this prejudices, these biases come into play, and you end up doing assessments, or you end up coming up with results which are more biased towards your personality. Then this will be called as solo. But then there are collaborative informal techniques in which a child or a student is equally, we give the opportunity of having the feedback, discussing with him or her, and then this becomes collaborative. And obviously, we have to go with the collaborative informal techniques, because going solo will not give us good results, not in many cases, because it will be influenced by the personality of a teacher or parent. How to identify the personality, will come to it. So convert chance or choice. So again, this is a big thing that career, many of people will say, so this will be my second question. So what do people think that career, is it by chance or is it by choice? For many people, for most of the people, career is by chance or choice. Gaurav, can you help me getting some responses? Or something else if you want to type, you can type.
Yes, we are getting the answers. So choice, chance. So till now it's a mixed response, both, but mostly choice. Choice, mostly choices, very few chances.
Okay, great. So that's a wonderful response, because if
And there's one more response which says informed choice.
informed choice, okay. Yeah. So that's a wonderful response, and I'm very happy to hear that, because this response is coming by our dear teachers, teachers of country. And if there is absolutely no doubt that if somebody is becoming teacher, then it is by choice, and I respect that fact, and it's a lovely answer. And especially coming from the teachers, it makes it special, because someone can become a teacher only by choice, not by chance. So that's a very lovely answer by our teachers. And but yeah, not everyone is as lucky to have a choice. And for many people, statistics shows that it is a chance affair. And as a teacher, you are the one who can enable, who can make the change and convert this chance to choice. But before that, there are some prerequisites. You will need AI for doing that. And this AI is not the artificial intelligence. This is a model which I have developed, and this is, you have to be, if you see, there are only two type of words, starting from A and starting from I. So this is AI. So you have to, this is easy to remember. You need to be acceptive. You need to be inspirative. Inspirative means a child can only take, uh, what to say, command, or only can inspire, or only can learn, or only can understand from someone who is inspirative to him or her. So if you are applying an informal technique of identifying talent, first of all, you should be an inspiration to that child. So you should be inspirative. You should be acceptive. So in one of the slides, we covered that some of the responses were as crazy as being a superhero. But even a superhero as a response should be accepted to you. You should be inquisitive. Inquisitive means जानने की इच्छा, जिज्ञासु. Jiggyasu is the right word for inquisitive. जो जानने की इच्छा रखता हो. So you should be inquisitive about what child want to become, why a child want to become, what else he or she can become. So ये आपको जिज्ञासा होनी चाहिए. You should be inquisitive about it. Then you should be assistive. You should be helping the child. आपको मदद करनी है. You should be helping the child in enhancing the talent. You should be assistive. You should not be enforcing. Then it should be imperative for you. What is imperative? Imperative का मतलब होता है important, महत्वपूर्ण. ये चीज आपके लिए imperative होनी चाहिए, महत्वपूर्ण होनी चाहिए. That you are identifying a talent, you are doing this job. It should not be done as a job. It should be done as something which you take proud in. It should be done as something which you are passionate about. So it should be important for you. It should be imperative for you. That's why the word imperative. And then last, appreciative. You should be appreciative about the talent. Maybe you have identified someone as a singer, and 6 months down the line, you realize that it is not something which he or she can do, but you should be appreciative about it. You should be able to course correct. And this is our little AI. So AI, AI, AI. So that's the AI which we really need. So these are the prerequisites before we identify talent, before we set the goal. This is for the person, this is for the teacher, this is for the counselor. These are the quality one teacher or counselor should possess before starting the process which we are now coming to. Informal tools. So yesterday you might have learned about many assessment. There are different kind of assessment, personality assessment, intelligence assessment, career choice, and many assessments are there named after different psychologists, scientists. Those are all formal tools which we have already discussed and which are not core part of this discussions. And we are discussing mostly on informal tools. And this is important slide because these are something which you can do at your own level with some preparation in your school without much infrastructure requirement, without much resources. You can do at your own after studying. Definitely some knowledge enhancement will be required and some what to say research will be required. But that's just in today's internet and AI era. That's just a matter of 2 to 3 days. But not a heavy resource heavy or infrastructure heavy options of informal tools I'm giving to you. These are discussions. So discussions, just a minute. Yeah, discussions, structured or unstructured interviews. When we say structured, then we are going into the territory of formal tools. And I will briefly cover it as part of Holland's theory in next slide, because if I go into deep, it will become too technical. But if we are doing structured interview, that it means we are working as per a already built psychological theory, then these are called structured interview. जो थ्योरीज पहले से ही बनाई गई हैं किसी साइकोलॉजिस्ट के द्वारा और हम उनका इस्तेमाल करते हैं, तब उनको स्ट्रक्चर्ड इंटरव्यूज बोला जाता है. Then there are unstructured interviews in which we are not using any psychologist theories, but we have developed a set questionnaire and we are doing the interviews with child, and then some of the set responses come across. We can develop this questionnaire in consultation with fellow teachers, principals, and counselors, and we can make that will be unstructured interview, but both have importance. You will come to know responses which you will not know without this discussions. So that is discussions, but it has to be some set of questions, either structured or unstructured. We will briefly cover structured in the next slide, and unstructured can be anything which is developed by your team, your fellow teachers, and yourself. Then there are options. Now this options part is tricky because this can be in the form of forced choices, in form of checklist. When I say forced choices, because whenever you are giving a set of questions, you are not asking. Because when you ask in first part discussions, interviews, when you ask, there is a feedback. Because if you are saying something, child is reacting, then you are again saying something, child is again reacting. So there is a continuous two-way loop. But when we are giving options as a checklist, suppose you have given a checklist. Are you want to become a doctor? No. You want to become a lawyer? No. You want to become a... So it is a forced choice. A child is simply seeing thing and removing, eliminating, or accepting based on that checklist. So these are the options. I'm not saying this is not useful, but then it has to be developed in an intelligent way, understanding some of the theories which we'll discuss in later slides. So that is second options, that we can give a kind of checklist to child. At least we will be able to eliminate few things which he or she don't want. Maybe we will not get what he or she want to become, but we will definitely get what he don't want to become. And I will give an example, a beautiful example in this case. Again, I will take example of my son, that when he was doing this assessment and there were certain questions, and somehow he was intelligent enough to know that if he tick those questions, then it means he is inclined toward biology and want to become doctor. And for some reason, he don't want to become doctor at all. And he said to me that knowingly I answered all those questions wrong, so that my assessment is not coming as doctor. So children are also very intelligent these days. So that is the problem in giving forced choices. And that's why not all assessments are made in that way. And scientific assessments are made in a way that you will not know that if you are answering a question yes or no, what will be the effect on net score. But yeah, some of the questions are like that anybody can understand that what it is leading to. So that is the problem in forced choices. But yeah, you can intelligently develop this also. Then there are simulations, though not available in India, but there are board games available abroad in foreign. There are board games in which you can play. There are if I remember correctly, 4 to 12 people can play simultaneously. And these are different board games in which, by rolling a dice, we all must have played board games like Ludo, chess, and so many Chinese checkers. and all those games. So these are board games similar to that, in which cards are there, pawns are there, dices are there. तो ये खेल, एक खेल खेल में हम जो हमारे पुराने बोर्ड गेम होते हैं, इसी की तरीके से कई सारे बोर्ड गेम फॉरेन में तो डिजाइन किए जाते हैं, इंडिया में मैंने अभी तक नहीं देखे, बट I am sure definitely that work must be going on. So these are games. And you can, again, if you do a bit of research, you can develop your own games. And so through simulations, also you can do this informal identification of talent. And I have not specifically written games, I have written simulations. What are simulations? Because if you are not having a board game, that doesn't stop you from doing this exercise. You can do simulations. What by simulation I mean? By simulation I mean is we are simulating. So we are doing this exercise when somebody is playing a doctor, when somebody is playing a engineer, somebody is playing a lawyer, and we are getting different responses. So those are the simulation. Again, you will need a bit of time and practice and research to develop this. And some of these are available free for internet. You can check those. And then there are alternatives. Alternatives are not options. Alternative are non-forced choices. Like these are weighted cards. There are certain cards, and these cards are available in India also, which we can use. And these are weighted cards. By weighted cards, it's like a game. By weighted cards, which means that suppose a certain child is selecting something, then it will be a weight. He is selecting that he is having interest in biology. It will carry certain weight. Then he deselects something, so that weight will be reduced. So like that, there is a certain elimination, and so we are getting plus numbers and minus numbers, and through which we are arriving on a alternative. So these are 4 informal tools which we can use. Fortunately or unfortunately, nothing is standard, because again, it is in the name, informal tools. So nothing is standard. You have to depend on your own judgment, your own knowledge. Some of these are available, made by individuals, available of internet, but I have deliberately, I have not chosen to show anything, because these are non-standard. I cannot advocate one over other. We need to develop our own. But I have given you the recipe of making these informal tools. And by recipe,
Jinesh sir, I would say I think that's the beauty of having these informal tools.
yeah,
Because as we had discussed in the earlier sessions, that every human is born unique. So
correct.
obviously standardization can be done up to a particular level. So the formal tools that we had discussed in the previous sessions, they were wonderful, standardized, structured formats. And what you have been discussing, we are again getting very good review in the chats. Since this is what interests a lot of people. Excellent session and very wonderful session. So we are getting all sort of positive reviews, and we are also getting comments regarding that. This is a wonderful session which is talking about informal tools, because these are the things that will get us started.
Yes.
And I would like to add from my side that this is something wonderful which every participant can try. They can build their own systems, questionnaires to get started.
Yeah.
So just wanted to convey these feedback from the chat to you.
Thank you, everyone. And yeah, as a speaker, it was my responsibility to. You are investing your 1.5 hours in this session, and it is my responsibility to give everyone something that he or she can use, and that is my responsibility. So that's why. And last we were discussing this recipe, and you can see there is a on the left top corner there is a dosa icon. Why dosa is there? Because I have abbreviated all these 4 things. If you see discussions, options, simulation, and alternative, that's a dosa. So it is easy to remember, and that's why that dosa icon was there. And as we go further into a discussion, yeah, and you will not get this dosa medal anywhere on internet, because this is self-developed and it is easy to remember. Use abbreviation dosa, discussions, options, simulations, and alternatives, and you can develop some of your own. You can search internet, modify those, manipulate those, and in your own context, and you can use those. Yes. Though my territory is not the formal tools, and which are already discussed, but we'll briefly cover Holland's theory. The first part, if you see structured discussion, we'll very briefly cover Holland's theory, so that it is easier for us to understand the further slides. So what is Holland theories? And although I earlier said that I will not read quotes, but this is one of my favorite quotes that व्यस्त होना ही काफी नहीं है, व्यस्त तो चींटियां भी होती हैं, सवाल ये है कि आप किस काम में व्यस्त हैं. स्वामी विवेकानंद. And for the my English friends, you need not be busy every time because even ants are busy. What matters is in which thing you are busy. This is said by our great Swami Vivekanand, and that's very true. So Holland's theory is about personality, it's about environment. And according to Holland's theory, each individual can be divided into 6 personalities: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. By realistic, we mean people who want to like do realistic work, like electricians, plumbers, uh, or even pilots, who want to touch things, who want to do manipulate things in a physical world. By investigative, we means people who want to become scientists, who want to become teachers, who want to become researchers. Artistic is self-explanatory. Social, by social we means the people who want to become leaders, who want to become politicians, who want to become who want to run NGOs. By enterprising, we understand people who want to do their own business, who want to manage things, who want to become managers, who want to become leaders. And with conventional means the people who want to follow conventional path, who want to become machine operators, who want to do a same job every day. So there are 6 types of personality. And the beauty of Holland theory is this 6 type of personality. For this 6 type of personality, there are 6 type of environment: realistic, realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So the important part here is, if a person is realistic, then he or she would like to work in a realistic environment. He or she would like to work only where people are realistic. Same goes with all other things. And this is I briefly touched it. And there are questionnaires, there are assessments which are developed on this Holland theory. Those come under formal methods, which we are not covering. But I'm giving you the brief backend of how the formal assessments are made. Those are made by these psychological theories. But we will come to our informal thing again. As a teacher, 100% sure that each one of us must have come through this word cognitive abilities, because that is the basic of education, that is the basic of knowledge imparting, that is the basic of teaching, that cognitive abilities. And as a teacher, if we have to identify talent, what we are doing is actually we are identifying the cognitive abilities. And this is slightly confusing because psychology is confusing, because cognitive ability is something different than cognitive function, and cognitive function is something different than cognitive skills. I'm a scientist myself, and I don't want to confuse any one of you. So I will keep it very simple. Don't go into definition. Just for the sake of it, I have written below that cognitive functions are thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuition. But we'll restrict ourselves to cognitive abilities, and I will come to next slide. I will cover it in next slide. This is Bloom taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but a system. And Bloom was a group of researchers. They developed it around 1950s. And if you see that from perception, the middle part, perception, attention, memory, and logical reasoning is nothing but cognitive skills. Below the pyramid is language and session, the basic skills, and upwards from the top 4 and the two the half middle part, logical reasoning and memory. That is the Bloom's taxonomy. What do you mean by cognitive skills? So by cognitive skills, we mean perception. Perception could be visual or auditory, processing speed. हम क्या कहना क्या चाह रहे हैं हम कि एक बच्चा सीखता कैसे है? How a child learns. So he or she learns through visual or auditory means. Somebody can be visually very perceptive. If something visual is there, he or she might understand it very easily. Some are very auditory. If some sounds are there, they understand it very fast. So different kind of perceptions are there. Then in perception, there is processing speed. How one is processing that visual and auditory signals. Then there is attention. How much one can give attention to one particular subject. That's the focused attention. Then sustained attention. Now this slide, we are into our 40 minutes into this. And there is a theory that beyond 45 minutes, nobody can hold attention. So how many of us can sustain attention for next 40 minutes or so till I'm speaking? That's sustained attention, because we are gaining something here. We are gaining knowledge here. And if we are able to sustain our attention for next 40 minutes, which is beyond science, because we can only hold attention for 45 minutes. But let's try to go beyond science and hold our attention for 1 hour 30 minutes. So that is sustained attention. Then there is divided attention. Divided attention is nothing but multitasking. So I do fire, I do comics, I do filming. That is multitasking. So a person, can he or she give divided attention on maths or biology and English at the same time? Then there is memory. Memory I will not cover in detail. Sensory, short term, working, long term, visual memory, auditory memory, sequential memory. Then there are different kind of memories. As a teacher, there are different techniques through which, and these are many of these things are covered in nursery. There are motor skills also, nursery, KG1, KG2. Many of these things are covered when we understand that how the cognitive skills of a child is growing. So these are the cognitive skills which we need to understand, especially the top two: memory, which is remembering, and logical reasoning, which is understanding. And these two form the part of Bloom's taxonomy. And then come the top part, which is apart from cognitive skills, which is apply. This is very important. So how a child can apply what he or she has learned to a different situations. Then analyze. How a child can analyze what he or she has learned. Evaluate. If different options are given to someone, whether he or she can evaluate that what kind of results are coming from those options. And then create. The topmost is create. If he or she can create something from it. To give you an example of this 6, I am covering the top 6 because those are the part of Bloom taxonomy, which are of our interest: create, evaluate, analyze, apply, logical reasoning, and memory. And I will cover this by an example. Suppose there is a play in your school, नाटक, ड्रामा सब जगह होते हैं, एनुअल फंक्शन के टाइम होते हैं. Suppose there is a play in your school and you ask this question after the play: कौन-कौन से कैरेक्टर थे? How many characters were there? What were their names? Certain child will be able to tell the name of all the characters. And somebody will not be able to tell the name of even one character. That is memory. That is memory. Now you will ask the next question. Why you think that character has done this thing? Whether he was right or he was wrong, or why you think that this character has done this thing? Certain child will be answered with ease that okay. Or what do you think that what was the premise of this play? Somebody will be able to answer with ease, and somebody will not be able to answer at all. That is logical reasoning. That how that logical reasoning is there. Then apply. You can ask the child to apply the situation on apply the situation of one character on another character. What do you think that this character would have done if he or she was in place of this character? This very few people will be able to answer. As we go on the top of pyramid, the number of respondents will be decreasing. Then analyze what the author of the play want to say. If you ask this question, that what is the main core philosophy of the author of the play, then this is analysis. And again, very few people will be able to analyze. Then evaluate. Then what else the characters could have done, what other options they could have gone, what other method they could have, what other path they could have adopted in that play. That is evolution. And then create. Can you take this play and make another play? So as we go on top of the pyramid, the number of respondents will keep on decreasing. And as a teacher, we have to understand that at which level of pyramid our student lies. And we'll come to it. Try to look for, this is the key line, try to look for extraordinary cognitive skills. हमें ये देखना है कि कौन से बच्चे हैं वो जिनमें ये extraordinary cognitive skills हैं. और अभी तक ये 10वीं स्लाइड चल रही है, एंड आई एम कमिंग टू अब 11वीं स्लाइड पे आऊंगा मैं. अगर आपको कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया तो सिर्फ 11वीं स्लाइड को आप ध्यान से देख लेना, सारा काम हो जाएगा। ऐसा नहीं है कि 10 स्लाइड जिनने देखी उनका टाइम वेस्ट हुआ है, बट 11वीं स्लाइड will give you, the 11th slide will give you something which you need to understand more so that you can do this exercise. So let's go to the type of intelligences. As I have written in the bottom also, if you haven't understood previous things, don't bother, just focus on this, you will get the crux. Because this is something important for talent identification. I think this is one of the last slide of talent identification. Multiple intelligence. We have seen the cognitive skill. Cognitive skills are linked to intelligence, and scientists have classified intelligences into 8 types. There are, in the list I am telling you 10, but just bear with me. Scientists have, or psychologists have, classified intelligence into 8 types. Over the years, one more intelligence, existential intelligence, was added to it, and I have added one more to it, emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is also something which we should be careful about. So if you see this this list, there are 10 kind of intelligences. First is very easy to understand, visual or spatial intelligence. This, a child, if he or she is possessing visual intelligence, then his or her cognitive abilities, visual cognitive abilities will be very high, and there are high chances that he or she will become a photographer, a filmmaker, an artist, or a graphic designer, or someone like that. So this is visual intelligence, and we have to identify visual intelligence, that a person, is he or she extraordinary intelligent in visual field. There are methods to do this. Because we are short of time, unfortunately I will not be able to cover everything in detail, but there are methods to identify. There are tests, very easy tests to identify whether a person is visually intelligent, and these are not part of these are part of formal assessment. Of course there are formal assessment, but informally you can also easily do this. Then there are verbal or linguistic intelligence. If somebody is linguistically very intelligent, then he or she has a high chance to become a leader, political leader, writer, social worker, and philosopher. All those blogger, so YouTuber, all those things are very high chances to become to go career in this field. Then musical or rhythmic, which is self-explanatory, that this singers, musicians, and different artists. Then logical and mathematical intelligence, which is again people will become scientists, engineers, consultants, and all those things. Interpersonal. What is interpersonal intelligence? Now, if I have to tell you one thing, that which is the hardest kind of intelligence to find in a child, it is interpersonal. Interpersonal intelligence is the intelligence to know about yourself, to understand yourself, to know where to focus, to know when to focus, to know how much time to give into one thing, how much time to be given to one thing, what to be done, what not to be done. So this is interpersonal intelligence, and that is the hardest to find and hardest to identify also. But then again, there are methods to identify this. Then interpersonal people do well in every field of life because they are very clear. So these are the toppers you see. These are the topper because they're studying for certain examination from class 8th because they know what they have to do, what they have to do. So these are interpersonal intelligence. Then there is intrapersonal intelligence. These are people who are very, very aware about their surroundings, who are very, very aware about their friends, who are very, very aware about the society. So these are, and they go on to become social activists. They go on to become NGOs because they are emotionally very, very aware about their societies and scenarios. Then there is naturalistic intelligence. These are people who love nature, who love animals, who love everything developed by nature. And these are the people who become philosophers. These are the people who become photographers. These are the people who become wildlife energy conservation people, and all those kind of people because they love nature. Then the one is bodily kinesthetic. Bodily kinesthetic, don't confuse by the word. सिंपल भाषा में अगर इसको बोलें तो जो अपने हाथों से अपनी पूरी बॉडी से काम ले सकता हो, जिसको who loves to do something by his or her hands or through body movements, that is bodily kinesthetic. These people become dancers, these people become sculptors, these surgeons, because their energy is in their hands, their feet. So we say mostly hands, so because hands are the thing which come first, because they become sculptors, they become surgeon, they become designers. So these are bodily kinesthetic intelligent people. So these are the top 8 basic kind of intelligence. There are ways to identify each one of them. We are short of time, otherwise I would have covered everything, that how to identify individual intelligence, but unfortunately we cannot do it today. But this is something which is available on internet, and you can definitely read more about it. And you should read more about it, because that is the way to identify the kind of intelligence one is having. Then the final one is existential. Before emotional, we come to emotional. Existential. Existential intelligence is something when a person goes beyond everything and asks question like, what is life? What is the meaning of life? What is environment? Why we are not doing something for environment? Why I am born? So these type of question, you could say spiritual. And these are the people who goes on to become motivational speakers, uh, environmental protectionist, and philosophers. So this is something beyond. Then final one is emotional. And emotional intelligence is nothing but if you connect interpersonal and intrapersonal, one who is emotionally aware about self and one who is emotionally aware about everyone else is an emotionally intelligent person, because emotional intelligence covers both intrapersonal and interpersonal. One who is aware about self also, one who is aware about others also. There are multiple assessment, because in today's corporate world, emotional intelligence is a big word, because people want to recruit those people who are emotionally intelligent, not only academically intelligent, but also emotionally intelligent. And there is no other way other than formal assessment to understand that how emotionally intelligent you are. And most of the corporate run emotional intelligent assessment these days to to get this emotional intelligent scores, and they take certain decisions to promote people or the progression leader based on this emotional intelligence scores. So that's why it is important. So as I said, for talent identification, this slide was very important, because that is the crux of everything. You have to what I have told you today. I have told you that first you have to be AI model, that you have to be assistive, you have to be inquisitive. That पहले अपने आप को हमको तैयार करना पड़ेगा. Then only we can deal into this. Then we have to understand that what kind of cognitive abilities a person is possessing, and then what kind of multiple intelligence a person is possessing. What we have with us, we have DOSA with us. So we can use DOSA to identify these things and develop our own set of questionnaires, techniques, and other things using internet and other things to make this informal techniques. So this is the summary of talent identification. First, we have to assess. That assessment means very informal assessment, that whether a child what kind of abilities or skills he or she is having. Then we have to expose. We are going to goal setting, but before going to goal setting, we have to understand that talent identification is a process. We have assessed, but whether our assessment is correct, because it is an informal assessment. Even formal assessment don't hold true in many of cases. So these are informal assessment. So we have to expose that child to that activity. Suppose he want to sing, we have to expose him or her to singing or acting, and see that what kind of results are coming. And we have to inspire. We have to inspire through role models. We have to inspire, keep inspiring, because we have exposed and we don't know what will be the result in next 3 months or 6 months. So we have to keep on inspiring, because if we don't inspire, even though inborn talent or inborn intelligence might be there, but if we are not inspiring, that will die. So we have to keep on inspiring, and we have to observe. When we have to observe that the cognitive ability which we have identified, the intelligence which we have identified, whether it was one shot or we have identified it correctly, whether it is growing, it is progressing. So we have to keep on observing, and then finally we will unearth the real talent. And how to remember this thing? I have given a clue on the left corner, and quickly a question. There is a one very easy to remember. Can anyone comment on this, Gaurav?
Yes, sir. I must say your techniques of teaching. You are a born teacher. You got wonderful techniques of making sure that all the participants remember what you are teaching, all sort of mnemonics and everything. It's a wonderful day, whether it's dosa or the vowels. Yes, we are getting people can identify a vowel.
Yeah.
Yes, they understand. So our
Yeah. So
participants are also intelligent and they have identified how you're doing it. And we are getting very wonderful responses, well explained, amazing session, very informative, very easy to, very much informative, easy to practice. We're getting amazing responses on that. Now we have a few questions. So just wanted to ask you. So I have
yeah, actually, yeah, we
some
have to start the
questions.
second thing, goal setting, so we can take some questions. Yeah.
So now the question is, how can teachers and counselors differentiate between a student's interest and their actual talent in a particular area?
Yeah. For that, we are on the right slide. We have to expose more and more. There is only one way to expose a child more and more in particular thing. Then only we will come to know that whether it is a interest or a talent. So, for example, and I'm sorry, I'm taking example of my son only because that is the only example I have, live example I know. So he was very interested in chess and he played chess up to nationals till seventh. But then again, after seventh, his interest was dipping, and he suddenly became interested in taekwondo. Again, he went up to blue belt, and then again his interest dipped. And we kept on exposing from fifth standard to seventh standard. We kept on exposing him to chess. But once its interest dipped and he was not further interested, somehow it was not giving him the kick he wanted. He shifted to taekwondo because maybe he is more to explain what I've just covered. Maybe he is more bodily kinesthetic intelligent. So taekwondo is something which you are using your hands and feet. So he got interested in taekwondo and he did taekwondo for 3-4 years. He will continue it after studies, but that again he shifted to his studies and he's not further doing taekwondo and chess, but he's very well doing his writing. So he's very interested in writing, and writing is something which he has continued from class 1 to class 12th. So, and that is something which we understood now that it is a talent.
So we can pause the screen sharing for a moment so that we can be there full screen. I have a couple of more questions to ask you.
I hope I have answered the question that how to unearth the
Certainly,
talent in it.
certainly. And as you said rightly, we were on the correct screen there. Now, another question is, can you provide example of activities or can you provide example of activities that can help in discovering students' strengths and abilities?
Yeah, strengths and ability. So our dosa is there to help for us. Dosa will come to help for us. Discussions. One is the discussion. So I have given some. We have discussed unstructured discussions and simulation. Those are one of the two of the best activities to do. Why I have said that I cannot give you exact recipes because unstructured discussions are based on the region. So I know these people are attending it from Hyderabad, Kerala, Bombay, Delhi, every kind of place. And this set of questions when we develop, these are this varies based on regional taste, based on the kind of society we are in, and there are small differences which each questionnaire has, and these can be developed only on the base of local local ecosphere, and these we have to develop on our own. But what we can do is we can take help of some of the formal method of assessments. If we go through the formal method of formal method of assessment, no need of no need of licensing it. But that's why I've explained you Holland theory. That's why I've given a gist of Holland theory. If you just try to read more about Holland theory, you will understand 6 personality type. And there are assessment based on Holland theory available on internet. If you license it, it will become a formal assessment, but there is no need to license it when you are only reading it. You can read it, develop your own questionnaire, add the regional flavor to it, add the flavor of what kind of students you have, and you will have an unstructured questionnaire ready with you that you can use to identify talent. Similarly, you can develop simulation. Simulation are more like plays and which are script. So the one person can be doctor, one can be police officer, and this is slightly more creative. This is slightly more creative and hard to develop. But then there are example of simulation available on internet which can be modified to a local. So informal techniques are means have to be customized because these are informal. These are, otherwise structured techniques are already there.
Well, sir, then there is another question, which is what role do parents play in identifying and nurturing their child's talent, and how can educators involve them in the process?
Actually, it is a dual process. Role of parents is utmost important, and one of the only bridge between child and parents and teachers is which teachers can use to their advantage is PTM, parent teacher meeting, because that is one interface which happens quarterly or half yearly in different schools, and that is something this again depend on your preparation. Because if you are going to PTM only with the academic mindset and a teacher is only having the academic scores in his or her hand and parents are sitting across the table, then you cannot discuss anything. Because again, teacher will just simply ask a question. इनका interest किस चीज में है या और क्या करते हैं घर पे पढ़ाई के अलावा? What he or she do other than studies at your home? The question will be limited. A teacher can only ask this question and parents will reply. He's very interested in writing apart from studies. Oh, good. And the conversation will end there. But if you have done a formal assessment or you have already done an informal assessment and you have a paper ready with you, which is having a report of informal or formal assessment, then you can discuss with parents. Okay, so he is interested in writing, right? Yeah, I can see that he's very interested in writing, and I can see that he is a linguistic intelligent person. Although he is also bodily kinesthetic intelligent person, but I must say that you should develop his own writing. But just try try that. Maybe he will be successful in dancing also. So then that interaction will develop because you have already done your homework. And then parents will give some feedback, teachers will give them feedback, and then this all exercise will be useful. Because if we have not done our homework, we have not done formal or informal assessment, then that conversation will not lead to anywhere. Because parents are also, not all parents, 99% of parents are also not exposed to this formal or informal techniques. So they have not done that homework. Teachers have not done their homework. So that conversation will be limited to just few exchanges. So that is the thing.
Thank you, sir. Then now I request you to move to the second part of the session.
Sure.
Gaurav, I would just pitch in.
Yeah.
For a moment, because there's one Sajita Nair and she's really put in a very beautiful line here, and I thought I should put it across. She says, "Sir, a teacher cannot stand in the shoes of a counselor, but still the psychometric tools help a teacher to know the child." So I think this approach and this thought in itself is a big takeaway of this session, I should say.
Correct. That is absolutely correct. That and that is what we have covered in the starting of session, that India is a big country. There are different kind of school, different kind of infrastructure and resources, and not everyone is fortunate enough to take help of psychometric assessments. And there are schools which have already done psychometric assessment for their students, and then teacher can use those psychometric assessment. But for those who cannot afford that for some reason, or those who who have not done it so far, then teacher can act as a bridge. Means if counselors are not there, or then teacher can act as a act as a first step of counseling for a child if he or she is conversant in this kind of techniques. So rightly said that psychometric assessment, the formal techniques which were covered yesterday, those are anyways there, and those form an important part.
Great. And I think, see, Gaurav, when we go through these chat, I think so much of information and so much of, giving up is also there. You can have a really session on only on the chats if it's, applicable, something very unique, because Vipin Nanda says, sir, the same techniques we can use it for our inclusive education or for our special or get God gifted students. So these are
Correct.
the thoughts that are generated from the teachers, from the stakeholders who are part of the session, and they are trying to have some what we say, mindful activities in their own way. So amazing responses that we are also getting here from the session.
Yeah, that's very nice actually. And unfortunately, online medium is something which is restricting me to interact. And if it was a live session, it was very easy to interact and keep on exchanging thoughts, because everyone attending this session is teacher, and teachers are someone whom I respect from core of my heart. So thank you for attending this session and sharing your responses. I will go through that. I think it is available after the session, so I will definitely go through it. So we were on the vowels A, E, I, O, U. So it is very easy to remember. You can see on my screen.
Yes, it's
Okay.
visible.
Yeah. So we'll move on from vowels. This is talent identification, and I think yeah. So we have some less time to cover this one. Sorry. Talent identification is only half job done. This is the part of very long process, and goal setting is the crucial difference between having talent and utilizing talent. Somebody is having talent, but we need to utilize that talent. And that is talent identification. Is you have identified that he is or she is having talent, but now we have to utilize talent, and that is goal setting. Goal setting can be done by self. So we have discussed this interpersonal intelligence. So the people who are emotionally intelligent or interpersonal intelligent, they can set their goal themselves. It can be done by parents, teachers, or any other key members of the existing support system of an individual. So goal setting can be done by anyone. And today we are talking about teachers. So we will discuss how a teacher can help an individual, a student in setting the goal. A beautiful quote there. So yeah, next. Yes, goal setting. This is just a brief of goal setting. Again, you will not see anywhere else on internet. This is the SS matrix, 9C model, 4 approaches method, and 7P model, which I have developed. And for this session, how to use this in goal setting. Why you? Why a teacher is required to do this? Because teacher is an important part of support system. By support system, I means teacher. It is written on the bottom of the slide. Support system means teacher, parents, mentor, friend, role model, imaginary, or anyone who is positive influencing that person or is in respectful capacity. So in the first slide, if you remember, I've said that person has to be inspiring. So he or she has to be he has to have respect in eyes of a student and positively influencing. Then anyone can serve as a support system. For our case here, we will talk about teachers. And I have written a word imaginary. Why imaginary? We have an example in our mythology, Eklavya. Eklavya learned from statue of Dronacharya. So even a imaginary thing can serve as a support system as a teacher. So our epics are amazing. So there are all kind of examples there. So I'm an MBA, and MBA presentation will never be without a 2x2 matrix. So this is my 2x2 matrix, which I've developed for this session. There are 4 conditions. As a support system, you know that person is talented, you know the talent, or you don't know the talent. And as a self and as an individual, I know what talent I have or I don't know. If you know, means as a teacher, you know, and the person also know, he will definitely be achiever. If you see the bottommost quadrant, left side, he will have both knows. The teacher also know. I am talking only about teacher here, but it can be a parent, mentor, anyone. If a teacher knows and the student knows, definitely he will be an achiever. And that's why it is important for you to know how to goal set, how to identify talent. If teacher don't know what kind of talent a student possesses, but a student know, he will be aspirer. He will be aspiring for something. He or she may or may not get there, but he will be aspirer. If a student don't know what kind of talent he or she has, but teacher knows, then he or she can definitely be able to make his or her living. An average life can be achiever, but we are talking about 99% of people here, because he himself or herself don't know that what kind of talent he or she is possessing, but teacher is knowing and he's pushing. So at least an average kind of mindset, something, some kind of job, some kind of small business, some kind of thing, he's able to live his livelihood. But what the deadly part is, if teacher don't know, if a person don't know, and again I'm saying by teacher I means entire support system. If nobody's know that what talent that person is having, if that person is not knowing, then the performance will be abysmal. And abysmal का मतलब होता है खत्म, मतलब बिल्कुल सबसे शून्यतम, शून्य के जैसा performance. It will be abysmal. It will be nothing, because there will be no way for a person to move forward. So this is a beautiful 2x2 matrix you will not see anywhere in the world, but it is a beautiful 2x2 matrix to understand that why identification of talent by self is very, very important, because a person can be nothing to achiever, to average, and always aspiring person based on this 2x2 matrix. Screenshot it. It is very useful. Now we come to basis of goal settings. And basis of goal setting is, you have to understand as a teacher, you have to understand that what we have discussed, what kind of cognition is there, what kind of curiosity is there, means the child is curious or not, and you have to cooperate. We have discussed this earlier also. We have to cooperate in goal setting. Then what kind of concentration a child is able to give on the job. We have discussed this before, that concentration is very important. Concentration is the memory. In the Bloom's taxonomy, we have discussed about the memory, the sustained memory part. So the consistency, how much effort consistently one is able to put. Is he or she able to overcome the challenges? Because any, what to say, any journey is not completed without without overcoming the challenges, without persistence, without perseverance. We will come to it, persistence and perseverance. And so is one able to overcome those challenges, and how? Compulsions. Now, for example, there is someone who want to do good in tennis, and he or she is good in tennis, but there is a compulsion. He has to attend the school, and he or she has to wake up at 5 o'clock and then attend tennis class for 1 hour and then go to school. So there is a compulsion that he or she has to sleep early, wake up daily morning, whether he or she is able to go through these compulsions. And compulsion is different from constraints. Constraint can be financial. Compulsion is something which one, if he having the ability, he or she can overcome. He can sleep early and wake up early. But constraint is something one may not overcome, like financial constraint. Then as a teacher or as a support system, or as somebody who is responsible for that person or society, we may have to overcome the financial constraint through some means, through scholarships or something. So a lot of people, not of our national player, when they go for international tour, they go by CSR funds, they go by corporate sponsorships. And if we know that person, it's our duty to arrange those kind of, to remove those kind of constraints. So when you are making these goals, you have to know each and everything, cognitive abilities, what is the level of that cognitive abilities, and this you are already knowing through that assessment which we have done, formal or informal assessment. Curiosity, keeping curious is, now you have assessed that okay, he is going to be a good singer, but whether curiosity is there, he is singing Indian, very good, he goes on singing Indian in Indian, but he is not curious about why K-pop is growing so much. Then you have a question that okay, is it something, everyone has to be curious. Even if he wants to grow in the field of Indian singing, he has to be curious that why K-pop is growing so much. For example, I am doing the comics nowadays, and Indian comics are struggling, and we are doing some Indian comics. But we are very curious that why Japanese manga is very popular. Though we are not making manga, or it is a different, Indian comics are different, but we are very curious. So even though if you are having talent and you are growing in that field, curiosity is very important. So while goal setting, you have to keep curiosity in mind. cooperation, you have to provide the cooperation, understand the concentration, consistency, overcome the challenges. Challenges can be anything, compulsions, to overcome the compulsions, constraints. And then while goal setting, you will come to know whether this is a call of that person or this is a career. Because of one person can be aspire, even if he is having talent, he can be aspire to make it as a career, or it's just a call of that person. Or if that is a call of that person, then he will go places. This is not a perfect model. We'll come to perfect model on the last slide. This is just the pre-work which you have to do. This is more like a checklist to just check whether these 9 things are checked. This is important. Understanding approaches. When we are goal setting, there are different approaches. Even in my introduction, I said that I will come to my dual entrepreneurship. I will come now. I will explain why. Even when we have identified talent and we are setting goal. While setting goal, we need to understand whether that person is having a focused approach. Focused approach means like a club way, like Arjun, only focused on one thing. So that is a focused approach. So we have to be aware that whether that person is following. I'm not saying anything is right or wrong, like focus, flexible, split or shift approach. I'm not saying anything is right or wrong. We just have to know what kind of approach is there so that accordingly we can goal set. That's what I'm saying. We are not discussing right or wrong here. So whether that person is having focused approach, then there is flexible approach. And this flexible approach is having a beautiful example, which earlier speaker has already also given, that Tendulkar wanted to become a fast bowler, but then he went on to become a bowler. So whether that flexibility is there or no, nahi mujhe to bowler hi banna hai. So that flexibility is not there. That is also required, because at times you have to be flexible. And then, but flexibility doesn't mean that keep on changing or adapting to whatever come to your way. Because if you know this Carlsen, the world famous Magnus Carlsen, the chess player, world famous chess player, he was very interested in football also. And till high school or something, he wanted to become footballer. And we don't know what would have become if he became a footballer. So it is not something that you kept on changing or so kept on, but you have to see. So that is flexible approach. Then there is split approach, which to an extent I have adopted. A split approach is, I'm very, very passionate about filmmaking, writing, doing comics and all those kind of things. And I've made my career out of it. It's not that some people think that it's just my hobby and I do inside, but we do business out of it. We do a lot of corporates. We do advertisements and we make money out of it. But I have adopted a split approach. I knew that this line is slightly shaky and it is not very easy to establish myself as a filmmaker or as a writer. And I took a split approach and decided to do a business along with it. So that's a split approach. So even when somebody is growing, he or she may decide that, okay, I will take the sports, but I will also do graduation. I will do a basic BCom. So there are these split approaches are all the time taken in India to have a plan B. And again, I'm not saying anything is right or wrong, but you need to understand. And then that kind of effort is putting in. If somebody is focused, you can set if somebody is focused, you can set a goal. Next year, you have to play nationals. But if somebody is having a flexible approach or a split approach, you may not set a goal for nationals next year. You may say, okay, next year you have to play states, and then we will see. If you're doing well, we will go for nationals. Like that, you have to set the goal. So first we have to understand the approach. And then there is shift approach. And shift approach is we keep on shifting, and then, okay, today we are doing the corporate job, then we are shifting to business, then we are doing this, doing this. I don't know, maybe I am also doing that, but that's a shift approach, that we keep on shifting to different things. And again, it's not right or wrong. At the life, in your progression of your life cycle, you come to know at a point that, okay, it is better for you if you do this, then that person keep on shifting. It is different from split, because in a split, it is like having two things together or having multiple things together. In shift, you are shifting altogether to a different thing. And shift approach is very much used in today's startups also, which is called pivoting. So you all together, if one business model is not working, you all together pivot to another business model. So that's a shift approach. So as a teacher or as a support system, we should know that which kind of approach a person is having before goal setting. I know in the end of this session, which is next 10 minutes away, this presentation, the most of the questions will be on suggested reads, but there are no suggested reads for this session. The reason is because this was a generic session which I have developed most of the things on my own. But I have given a first you have to decide as a teacher what you want to become. You want to train students, you want to mentor students, or you want to coach students. And accordingly, you just Google it and get the best book for training, mentoring, or coaching, because each one is different. And now I will explain in detail. For most of us, the trainer, the mentor, the coach, the word is similar. They are synonym, but they are not. And that is one basic stark difference between coach, trainer, and mentor. And you have to understand while goal setting that an individual need different person at different phases of life cycle progression curve. So there is a stark difference between coach, trainer, and mentor. At different stages of the progression curve, an individual need different support systems. Coach, we are short of time, otherwise I would have asked a question, but I will just go through it. Coach is someone who empower. Coach never give suggestive advices. Coach always gets your answer from within you. Coach only empower you. And don't confuse by cricket coaches or someone, because that's a terminology. But if we use proper terminology as per literature, as per standards, then coach is someone who never advises to do this, do that. He or she will get answer out of it, out of you. That is empowerment. And in early phase of your life, early phase of talent identification, if you are dealing with pre-primary students, then you have to be a coach, because you are getting the answers from them. That is coaching. Training is all about educating. Educating as a trainer, you are explaining. If you are a cricket, you say it coach, but actually it is a trainer. You explain how that shot is played. If you are training for a singing, you explain how to sing. If you are training for drawing, you explain how to draw. So everything is done and explained. That is more skill based. That is training. And finally, mentoring is done by someone who shares similar interest with you, or who share similar experience. And those are the enablers. Those are mentors. So for example, I am a filmmaker. So there are many people whom I mentor, because they take advice from me. So I am like a mentor to them. I can give a suggestive advice to them. Trainers and mentors can give suggestive advice. Do that. But coach will never say do that. Coach will get an answer from you. Okay, I need to do that. That nod will come. That is a coach. That is the beauty of coaching. And coach is someone whom an individual need in the starting of their life cycle. Later on, they need some training, because coach has identified the talent, coach has done the goal setting. Then they need training then you need actual trainers. Then you need mentors. Once you grow into it, you have done states, nationals. I'm just taking an example of a sport person. Then you need mentors. So these techniques of mixing, I know you all are teachers. You already have so much of hard work to do with teaching so many students. You have to do a lot of checking assignments, and this is a lot to ask. Be a trainer, mentor, or coach. But whatever your interest is, if you want to become one, it is not hard and fast that you cannot mix the techniques. You can mix the techniques, but then a clarity of thought should be there. Otherwise, it can ruin the results for the young ones. Because if you are a coach and you are giving the suggestive answer, तुम्हें तो dancing करनी ही चाहिए, then that creates problem. So although you can, with experience, you can mix, but first you should develop yourself as a trainer, mentor, or coach. See what is your calling, develop yourself as one, and then you can mix the things. So this is a very important side. Training, mentoring, and coaching. And before goal setting, this is something we have to identify that as a teacher, I am more a trainer. As a teacher, I am more a mentor or more a coach. Nothing is right or wrong. Everyone is required. So, and this International Society of coaching is different. International Society of Mentoring is different. I am a internationally certified mentor also, internationally certified coach also. And since I am a filmmaker and fire specialist, I can train people also. So I could be a trainer, mentor, coach, everyone. But when I'm doing mentoring, I have to keep my coaching hat aside and ask those kind of things. When I'm coaching, I cannot give advice. So those are the things which I have to keep in mind. And that's what my advice is. And the final slide of this one, before the thank you slide. And this is the 7P model for goal setting. And actually there are 14P, but these are 7P model for goal setting. This we have to develop into a checklist or a questionnaire, and then we have to set goal sitting with the student, because earlier we have discussed that it should be a collaborative process. So whether a person is getting pleasure or pain out of that exercise, whatever you are doing. So definitely in case of athletes, whenever you are starting, there's a lot of pain. If you're playing tennis, you're doing judo, you're doing taekwondo, there is a lot of physical pain, actual pain, or sometimes even some of the things, mental pain, harassment is there, some kind of, I am saying, in different things. So, but you have to go or get over that pain, and what kind of pleasure you get. So that thing we have to understand, pleasure and pain, whether it is a passion somebody is doing for making it means because it is his passion, or as a profession. That is important to understand. Then perception, because it's perception and partners. Perception means self perception, what I perceive myself, and partners means again support system, what partner perceive. Okay, जैसे parents का एक question आया था कि what parents perceive. So, and parents are many a time biased also, and that okay, I am a doctor and he or she should become a doctor. So what is that perception, and whether how it is coming into play? Are you getting the answers from child? Are those answers his or hers, or the parents' answer? Even though he or she is answering well, but from where those answers are coming from? Then path and paradigm. What is the path? This path is the actual goal set you have done. Okay, next year national खेलना है. Next year you have to do this. Next year तुम्हें Indian Idol में जाना है. Next year you should participate in Indian Idol, or whatever the path is. And paradigm shift. This path changes. For example, Tendulkar path changed. For example, Michael Phelps path changed. And how this path changed? This is a paradigm shift. Because you see somebody else and you say, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. Recently, one film, this very good 12th fail film was there, and you see when he see that IAS officer, suddenly his perception and paradigm changed, and he said, "Okay, I want to become an IAS officer." That was the starting point for that hero in that film. That was a paradigm shift. So even though you have decided to set a goal, but suddenly your paradigm can shift. So you have to keep that in mind and keep that thing in mind. And this is very important. Patience and perseverance, and both are not the same thing. Patience is something which you is temporary, means you are having patience to go through daily grinds, but perseverance is doing again and again and again the same thing. Even though you are kept on failing, you kept on getting challenges again and again and again and again and again, doing the same thing is perseverance. And the people who are high achievers are very, if one thing apart from hard work I have to identify, that is perseverance. That people who have a lot of perseverance, हिंदी में अगर बोलेंगे तो पेशेंस इज धैर्य एंड परसिवेरेंस इज लगन. तो जिनमें धैर्य और लगन है, तो that is लगन is very important, perseverance. Then whether people are doing it for pride or prize, again very is important. So this first question which we have asked, what do you want to become when you grow? I have not shown you one answer because of this, and many people answer rich. Simply, the answer is rich. No astronaut, no doctor, no engineer, rich. And that's equally a good answer. So whether you are doing it for a pride or a prize. So that is also important when you are doing a goal setting. And then finally, a perfection or purpose. A person is doing to find his or her purpose, or just to perfect the art of doing it. So you all must have heard this theory of doing 10,000 hours, that if somebody does 10,000 hours, he or she becomes a master of that thing. If you're playing piano for 10,000 hours, you will become a master. That theory goes like that. So to attain that perfection, or is there a higher purpose? Because we have seen this two intelligence, existential intelligence and emotional intelligence, or the one is doing for a higher purpose. So these two things are there. and these all are for goal setting. We are short of time and I have not included in this setting that, but using this keywords, we can develop a goal, we can do the goal set. Why it is important? Because if you don't know that path can be changed of because of paradigm shift, you will definitely set a wrong goal. So understanding of this factors is very important. Otherwise, goal setting will be. So with that, I will close the session or my not the full session, but my presentation. And as I said, suggested reads are good books on coaching, counseling, and mentoring, because this was more like a generic session which I made based on my experience, knowledge, and whatever some information from internet and some from books which I have read. I have read a lot of books. I have more than 5,000 books. So at my office and home combined. So I read a lot of books. So all those things were there. And you can read all those kind of books which you want to become. You want to become a coach, read books on coaching, counseling, mentoring, training. So all those things are there. There's a mail if somebody want to shoot a question later or some clarity is required. You can shoot a mail on my official email, and somebody from office will connect back to me, and we will reply. So with that, I will stop the screening and give back to Gaurav.
Thank you, sir. It had been a wonderful and enlightening session for all of us. And I would really like to thank you for spending so much time in preparing the content for the session. It was amazing, very well designed. I mean, it's an example that I would certainly use to show instructional designers how to create a presentation, how to have these topics clearly displayed. Even the colors, the fonts, the designs that you used in your presentations are wonderful. We are getting a lot of good feedback. We are getting a lot of questions. So I would like to take some questions now. We have collected so many of these, but one of the questions that I found interesting is, how can teachers assist student in overcoming obstacles or setbacks which they encounter while pursuing their goals?
So yeah, again, we will come back to those informal and formal methods, because these people we are talking about, they're very young, and obviously they will be discouraged when they see these kind of obstacles or setbacks are there. Suppose we know that he can be a good singer, but there are some kind of obstacles are there and he's not able to sing, or he's not winning the competition, or not doing well in front of camera. This kind of things might be there, setbacks are there. But if we have done this assessment, informal and formal, and we are sharing this result with the child, then there is a motivation, because child is also having a backing. Okay, so I'm good in this. He or she knows that I am good in this. But then this is external justification or external reinforcement is there, which is scientifically done. Oh, my teacher has shown me this paper. It says that I have this 80% chance. I'm just making some words, but which shows that, okay, this assessment is very good. And that report is available. So that some backing is there, that some confidence is there to overcome those obstacles. And that's why these assessments are very important. And teacher can friendly discuss this with parents and child. Okay, I understand that she has not won this contest, but we are pretty sure that she will do well. How you are sure, sir? Because we have done some research, we have gone through this thing, and I have this sheet saying that she is having very good musical intelligence. She scored 97 on musical intelligence, and apart from that, she will also do well in bodily kinesthetic things. But I will suggest to go for this singing, and she will definitely do well and leave apart the setbacks. So again, last question also I have answered like this, that we have to do our homework to answer, to tackle this kind of situations. Because if we have not done our homework and this setback is there, children will come to us. We'll just console. We can just console. We don't have any backing. We can say, "अरे बच्चे हो जाएगा, अगली बार हो जाएगा, मत परेशान हो, होगा." But we don't have a backing, and the child is not having a backing. But if something concrete is there, then parents are happy and child is also happy, and then some external validation is there. Okay, I should continue.
And then there are a few questions, so I would combine these and rephrase the question. Basically, it's about how teachers can educate parents to help in the goal setting.
Mhm. Yeah. one of the interfaces, as we discussed, is PTM. And apart from that, what teachers can do is, if we are running these assessments, and in the first slide, we have seen that catch them young, and we are seeing this some of the extra. But again, it's actually it is not only about assessment. We have to expose also. There has to be opportunity to, suppose we have identified that somebody will become a great footballer, can become a great footballer. He's very good at football, but there are not enough opportunities. They are not. He's not playing football at the school. He's not playing football at the near the he means around his home also. Then there are not enough opportunities. So we have to expose also. How we will expose? We can only expose when we discuss these things with parents. And again, the assessment will come into play, and we are able to catch them young, as we have discussed in first slide. So we are able to identify, we have identified the type of intelligence, we have identified the type of personality. So we have to give a push. Apart from PTM also, we can inform parents that, see, your child is having this inborn unique talent, and we propose that maybe even if some facilities are not available in school or at home, you should externally pursue it. There are cases, means there are a lot of cases, even our this one national player Rinku Singh, his father has to take him away from a small town to Chandigarh. He shifted his base from Chandigarh to from a small town to Chandigarh to make Rinku Singh play for national team. And there are many examples like that. So we have to interact. Teachers and parent have to interact, and this interaction can be apart from PTM also, because in PTM there are time stipulations, and teachers are also tired sitting from morning to afternoon dealing with so many parents. There are a lot of confusions because you deal with multiple people. So there can be separate session for people who have unique talents, or you can group some certain talents together and then arrange different kind of sessions for them along with parents. Where suppose you have identified that 7 children are there who want to become an actor, and there is an opportunity to call an actor. You can call the parents also. Okay, we are taking a special session where there's some actor is explaining about, it can be an online session. Actor is explaining about his or her life journey, and then parents and that those 7 students can attend that session, and it can go on from there. Because that if that approach is focused, if that approach is flexible, or if that approach is shifting, we'll know. If focused approach is there, 3 out of those 7 parents will come to you next day and say, okay, we want to continue this further, please help us.
That's great, sir. So now, since we are approaching the end of the session, I would also like to invite Neeti ma'am to join in with us. And we...
Here only. Because it was really nice to just keep listening to the session without any disturbance. But I think we are about to say it a day for today. Or there are more questions that you have in mind, or anything else that needs to
Yes,
be.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We have a lot of questions coming in from the participants. I mean, there are very nice comments, but there are so many questions that are coming in. Many of them have been already answered, something very similar to that. And so let me pick up one last question. It looks very specific. That what are the components for an effective goal setting strategy for the students? I think that's what we have covered. So if we can sum it up, and this will be the last question, sir, for you.
Yeah, so we have discussed about 9 C's. So first we have to make a checklist to see that all those 9 C's are covered. Whether how means what kind of constraint, what kind of constant, what kind of compulsion, what kind of cognitive ability that child is having. Once that checklist is there, so we'll know that, okay, this child is having a constant that she cannot attend the evening classes. She's having a compulsion that she cannot attend English classes, something like that. So though we know that, okay, she cannot do English classes, she cannot attend by after evening. So that checklist is there. So we have covered those 9 C, and then we come to 7 P. So once that checklist is there, we already have a preset things in our hand. This can be done, this cannot be done, this can be done, this cannot be done. And then we come to 7 P and develop a goal based on that 7 Ps.
And now we have got a wonderful thing in the chat, and it's Vipin Nanda And he says, I quote, a keyword for today's session is wow. That means wonderful, outstanding, and worthy. So people have taken inspiration from your presentation, the way you have presented, and very similar comments all over. We are getting.
I just try to do things in a simple manner so that people can remember. Because it is very easy to forget, difficult to remember. But if somebody is taking that screenshot and pasting it on the front of the screen, in 2-3 days, that thing will go in mind, and then it is very easy to practice. So I just wanted that, and so I tried that, and I hope to some extent I was able to get through it.
So I would love to continue the session, but since we are bound by time, so I would like to thank you, Ajitesh sir, for the wonderful session, the knowledge that you have shared, and I'm very sure the participants would be motivated. They have learned quite a lot, and they'll watch it again on the CBSE channel. The recording will be available with the CBSE channel. The link will be shared in the comments in a few minutes as soon as the session is over. I really thank you, Niti ma'am, for making these kind of sessions possible, and Secretary sir for his vision, where he actually saw that this particular aspect is so important and crucial for bright future of our students. So I thank you, Niti ma'am, thank you, Ajitesh sir, thank you, Secretary sir, thanks to CBSE, and I would like to tell all the participants, please go and fill the feedback forms. The link is already available on the registration page. So please go back to the registration page, click on the feedback, fill in your feedback, and then we'll proceed with the further course of certification. So with that, I would like to give a big thanks to all the participants and speakers. So let's conclude the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And just to add to it, Gaurav, we have also put in a questionnaire that would be there with the assessment part of it, along with the feedback form. So everybody has to have that questionnaire or that assessment part taken in seriously. And the certification would be not really a scenario where somebody has to pass or fail, but then it depends on how well you have got to the feel of this particular section. So that is very crucial when we would be awarding certificates for these sessions. And just as Secretary Sir had initially in his introductory remark pointed out that this is just the beginning. There would be many more sessions that would be coming up online and also offline, and that would be communicated to the stakeholders. Please be in touch with our website, the authentic website of CBSE. You would get all the links, all the informations, everything. So just be tuned in. That is what I would request all of you, so that you don't miss out on something crucial, something important that will be coming on our way. And all these sessions would be available on our CBSE headquarter YouTube channel. The link would be pinned up on the chat itself, and you all can subscribe if you want, so that you can keep getting notifications. And whenever such a session is happening or any other important activity from the department is there, you are able to get a feel of it and you are able to interact with us on that. Thank you, all of you, and a special thank to Ajitesh for this extremely wonderful session. And I know how much of the effort you have put in, and it shows. We would not let you go like that. We'll be in touch with you, and probably as you had desired, there might be a point where we can have some offline sessions where we really want to have you around with us, and definitely move ahead in this, you can say, journey that we want to pursue further with the counseling, the wellness, and such activities are concerned with all of us. And not only the stakeholders, I think with all of us, we all are a part of the same ecosystems. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.